This motherfucker. Fucking Oasis, man.
Fucking Oasis,
man. It's a little, man. Don't you just hate it when the Beatles rip off Oasis? Oh, man. Here's to you, dear listeners, and welcome to Metal Gear Mondays, the most thorough Metal Gear and Death Stranding podcast on the internet, more than likely. Who knows? My name is Sam Wright, and I'm your host, and I'm here in my studio, which is my bedroom, and I'm recording a podcast here for you on the internet. And I'm joined by another person who is a person named Cole Duncan.
Hey, how's it going? I am also in my studio, which is also my bedroom, recording a podcast for you as well.
I'm just a boy recording a podcast for a girl. But yeah, we're here to talk a little bit more about Death Stranding. So last episode we're doing character theories, and
yes,
we had discussed we were going to split up into 3 episodes where we were going to be like, okay, this episode is about like our what we perceive to be our central characters. We're going to do an episode about like our perceived villains, and then we're going to do an episode about like the rest of the supporting cast, right? Well, we've got a couple of surprises in store, a couple of like special episodes that we wanted to put out before the game came out, so we're going to condense like everybody else into this one episode.
We're just wrapping it all up into one sweet little package for you.
Yep, because next week we have an interview, or well, it's kind of an interview, kind of like a normal discussion with if you've paid attention on Twitter, we've got a little talk with Ryan Kincaid, also known as Nitroid, who we've had on the show before.
Such a nice guy.
Such a nice guy. Great to listen to. Great chat we had with him. So please look forward to that. And then the week after, we've got another kind of special talk lined up. That one's, I'm going to keep that under wraps for a little bit. And then we're going to do an outer op where we discuss your guys' theories. So I'm going to talk at the top of the episode. If you're listening to this, email us at contact@metalgearmondays.com. Tell us what your theories are. Tell us what you think about the game and the lead up to the game. Tell us it all. Give it all to us.
Yeah, just lay it all on the line for us.
Yeah. Send us an email. We'll read it on the show, and it will be great. So yeah, do that. And yeah. How are you, Cole?
I'm doing great, Sam. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great too. Took a nap.
I took a nap as well. I'm feeling refreshed. I got a full throttle in me. Ate some of St. Joyce's turtles, so those things are fucking amazing.
St. Joyce, homemade turtles.
Yes.
Your mom,
yeah.
St. Joyce.
my mom is St. Joyce. She is an amazing person, and I love her. And she makes the best desserts known to man. And I went home for my birthday recently, and one of the gifts I got, she's like, "Hey, I made your favorite dessert," and I've still been eating them for, I guess now, a week. So
you wanna
possibly really
want to ship a couple of those my way?
I mean, I can always ship some to you.
I'm kidding.
I can figure out something.
Not to say that I do not want St. Joyce's homemade turtles, but
they're amazing. They're pretty good.
I would not put you through that.
If we find a way to make a meetup happen, I will make sure to get you some.
Yes. Good. So that being said, thank you, St. Joyce, sponsor of the podcast.
Absolutely big sponsor.
Before we get into the character theories, we've got some stuff to discuss. Cole, what are we going to talk about? What do we got?
I think we're going to talk about the news.
Ooh, okay.
It's time for news.
Death Stranding.
Gotta love that jingle.
The jingle we're imagining in our heads right now.
I can hear it so loud and clear right now.
A lot has happened since we recorded the last episode. So literally the day after we recorded episode 104, PlayStation decided that they were going to take it amongst themselves to release a TV spot called The Drop for Death Stranding. And so it's a full CG trailer. Hideo Kojima took it upon himself to confirm that this is not the launch trailer that he is personally editing. This was done by Sony. And I don't know. I think if it, cause the way that it's laid out, it's Sam kind of narrating over it, talking about like how what he's doing isn't easy, and people are going to try and stop him every step of the way, but that it's
weight of the world's on his shoulders.
Yeah. And it's like, if we didn't have like, so number one, if I didn't know it was a Kojima game, and number two, if I didn't know about the rest of the stuff around it, The Drop was like, I would say, and maybe, I don't know if you agree with this or not, was probably like one of the most straightforward like trailers.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, he explains what he's doing, and you see the action that's happening to him. And I mean, it's like you said, it's straightforward. It's like to the point.
Yeah. And like he's being, like at the beginning, he's being chased by like mules and stuff like that. And it's following the path of this like this briefcase that he's transporting. There is a weird, I don't know if you noticed this when you watched it, but there's a really weird point in the trailer where, because it is like a full CD trailer, where the Bridges guy is talking to him about his mission, and it is definitely just Die-Hardman that they.
Yeah.
Okay. Which I was like, that's an interesting decision that they made there. But
I mean, I guess it's like, maybe it's like Pavlovian. Like, they want you to like get that voice in your head, like, Sam, your mission is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. they so you respond to it. I'm not sure. Maybe they just had Tommy Earl Jenkins just on standby. They're like, hey, would you mind like reading this real fast? Awesome. Thank you so much, my man.
It might be. I can understand. I could see it being that Pavlovian thing, because I think, and I mean, we're breaking into the theories early, but I think Kojima did mention that Die-Hardman has the second most lines in the game behind Sam.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I guess we're going to be hearing him a lot. So yeah, so it's a pretty cool trailer. Again, very straightforward. It definitely like, I think it pumps up the game to be way more action oriented than it is going to be.
Oh, for sure. Because I mean, like, he's like running away from the mules and like turns around and, like, bolas one of them like as he's getting away. Which I don't like.
So that's very interesting. But it's very clear that this was done by Sony and not Kojima.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of mirrors a lot of like these Sony like studio led trailers where they really want to pump a lot of action and hype into a game. So that's the main thing that they're showing, with the big reveal at the end, you know, with something kind of ominous, mysterious that gets you intrigued, with that giant like beat man's BT standing outside of the facility.
Yeah. Which, like, we're going to talk about that guy, that little boy, a little bit later. For sure.
Oh, we are.
But yeah, it's just, and I think like, if it's the only trailer you see, I like it. I think it's an effective trailer. It's a very good
trailer.
Works.
It works.
And so it's an effective trailer. It tells me, you know, I'm this guy. My name is Sam Porter Bridges. This is my mission. It's going to be hard. Look at all this crazy shit, right? There you go.
Well, the other thing I noticed with that is that, you know, because I've been on the fence. I'm like, is his actual name Sam Porter Bridges, or is his name Sam Bridges and he's a porter, or, you know, what is it? But he's like fully confirming, no, my name is Sam Porter Bridges. So I was like, okay, cool. And maybe that's me being a little dense, but I can't take anything, like, you know.
Well, like, again, because we've discussed like maybe like these are titles and things like that, but they've adopted these as their new names, like in this new world. So I need to. We were talking with. We'll let him write into the show about it, because he's going to write in for the podcast. But Alessio came up with a theory that was like, oh, okay. and that was very interesting about like what happened to the world. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I think there's this like new, it's like this new post some type of crazy apocalypse happened in this world, and maybe it just became that like names didn't matter, or like full names didn't matter as much, so they just like adopted these titles, and those became their names.
Yeah, when there's nothing around, what does your surname actually really mean to anyone? Mm-hmm. It's more about what you provide or what you can do
exactly
for others.
Well, because it's kind of like, because if you think, like, remember like zombie apocalypse culture, where it was just like, you're on my zombie team because you're able to fucking tie a slip knot or some shit like that. Like,
yeah,
like maybe it's a similar theory. It's like, okay, your name is Sam. I don't give a shit what your last name is. You're a porter. Cool. Okay. Come on.
Yeah. So it's like, since the Earth has gone through this crazy, extinction level event, those who were left behind also went through a type of like ego death as well, and have taken on these new surnames.
Mm-hmm. So I think
it's really cool.
That's also an idea too.
I love the trailer. I thought that it was much more approachable than any of the other trailers that we've seen. So for, like you said, like someone who's never played a Metal Gear Solid game, hasn't kept up with game coverages, this is the first time they're saying anything about it. I think it's intriguing. I think they would see that and be like, oh, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
So good on Sony.
Good on Sony. And I think that is systemic of it being Sony as well.
Yeah.
So I, not to take anything away from Hideo, because he's very talented and his trailer cuts have been very interesting. But I think as far as like grabbing the wider audience, I think Sony has maybe a better idea of what to do in that particular situation. So
Sony is much more blockbuster theater, and Hideo is much more like art house.
Yeah, which is like, it's a good, because the thing with Sony is like their marketing is very much like that, but like very recently, like even like their big like actiony games like God of War, their games in this generation have been a lot more like thoughtful and like like emotional. So like God of War was very much like a very thoughtful like look at a father and son's relationship, and like like again, Last of Us is again maybe one of the greatest like stories I've ever like experienced.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
So it's got like a lot of thought and heart behind it. Sony does, but they're very much like trying to focus you on the like, they're trying to pull the casual in. They're trying to pull the Call of Duty player in to play their thoughtful game.
Right.
So, the next little order of business we have is that Death Stranding was officially given its ESRB rating, which of course everybody knows is the rating system that tells children that they can't play this game if it's rated a certain level. And of course
that always stops them.
Fucking children. Yeah, I never played an M-rated game when I was a kid.
No, Mom, turn off the podcast.
Except for like
no, I never ever
except for
did.
Like Metal Gear Solid and like all the rest of them. But whatever. But yeah, so of course, as we expected, it got an M rating, which is M for mature.
Shocker.
Which is kind of like an R rating. But yeah. So we're gonna kind of split this up, because we're gonna talk about the description is that players will be attacked by both human characters and ghostly apparitions with weapons such as machine guns, grenades, and shotguns being used to fight, with large splashes of blood splashing all over the terrain. Which we've seen all this gory. So far. And I also love I love this part. It says, there's also the use of the words fuck and shit throughout the dialogue.
Just all over the place.
Just like, throw a fuck on it.
Yeah, you get a shit, you get a shit, you get a fuck. Everyone gets it.
Yep. And then they're also, they said there are, quote, a handful of scenes that depict the character with his buttocks exposed. Still no dick, though.
Yeah, it's probably going to be we'll probably get some Rita's butts. So, I mean, I think that's
Rita's butt.
I think that's all we can ask for, buddy.
Confirmed.
I think that's as far as we're going to get.
And then here's where it gets kind of like hazy if you're trying
Yeah.
like if you're trying to, okay, here's my official stance. If you're trying to avoid spoilers, why are you listening to this podcast? First of all, but I'm gonna read off these things that they say. I'm gonna give you a little spoiler warning, and then I'll tell you when the warning's gonna start. And then after I start, I'm gonna give you like a time frame. So I'm gonna read these off, and I'm gonna give you, let's say, come back in 30 seconds, and I'm gonna get my stopwatch. I'm gonna give us 30 seconds to talk about this, and I'm gonna start my stopwatch now. One cutscene shows a man being shot with an infant accidentally being killed in the process, which is, I mean,
crazy,
but maybe to be expected given the whole thing.
Yeah.
Other scenes show a character shooting a comatose patient in the head, so that's also very interesting.
Woof.
Another man stabs himself repeatedly in the distance, which I think might be from that trailer that we already
yeah.
saw. So
we've seen that one for sure.
So hold on. It has been 30 seconds. Welcome back.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing? So basically what we just talked about is so some interesting things coming out of the announcement of the ESRB rating. Some things, surprising but maybe to be expected. But it's going to be interesting regardless. So we've got an M-rated game on our hands. Children, do what you fucking want. It just means if you play an M-rated game, it just means you're cool.
That's exactly what it means. Yeah. I mean,
the next order of business, the next thing that we have is that Death Stranding is going on a world tour, baby.
What?
Yeah. So Hideo Kojima announced that there is a world tour that is starting on October 30th of this month to kind of like promote Death Stranding. It's starting in Paris on the 30th. It's going to be going to London and Berlin. It's coming to New York and San Francisco, and then it's going to go back to Japan to Tokyo and Osaka, and then we're going to Singapore, Taipei, and Seoul after to wrap it all up. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cities, 9 days, and I'm actually pretty sure isn't that like the perfect amount of days for the release?
Yep. I think it's like culminating like the night before.
Right. So it's going to be going to all these cities. There have not been any details announced about the world tour. But yeah, it's lots of very interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, Cole, now that I'm thinking about it, the world tour starts on October 30th. Maybe that's when they're going to premiere the launch trailer.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah. That very well may be.
We
need to get our man on the street, Alessio Summerfield, to try and like swing by and see what's going on when it comes to New York.
Oh, I didn't even realize we got to text him that.
Yeah.
Our little reporter, little reporter boy, AC Summerfield. Yeah, it's gonna be in New York. Let's see if he can. We'll see if he can go to that. That'd be cool. Have a little inside man, a little report. But we may have to like record a pickup because I think our last recording before Death Stranding come out is technically scheduled before the 30th. So we might have to record a little pickup that week.
Yeah,
which would be
cool.
For me. But yeah, so stay tuned for that. We have somebody had some hands-on little situation with Death Stranding. Somebody by the name of Irina Rose, who is an Australian games journalist, blogger, has a website called Sausage Roll, which is the sauciest Australian pop culture press. Wrote an article because she got some hands-on time with Death Stranding, and apparently it gave her nightmares.
Which is fantastic for your boy.
Yeah, for sure. We've talked about how like you have like a zero tolerance for scares.
Yeah, I am skit-ish, my dude. I am.
She said that she said that like if you take PTs, like sense of foreboding and environment and just inject it with steroids. That's what you get with Death Stranding.
Which is great.
Yeah. She said it's one of the most scariest and immersive environments she's ever experienced in a video game, and that even if the world seems barren, like you never feel like you're truly alone. Which like this is what Kojima has been saying this entire time. Is like you're alone, but you're never truly alone. So maybe that's not only the strands, but also the sense that something is with you.
Well, the thing that hit me the most with what she said was, never have I ever felt so hopeless and lost while playing a game. And I was like, jeez, dude. Okay.
Yeah.
We're about to get into some heavy shit.
Yeah. It's going to be super interesting. She goes on to describe her experience. She says hands-on in quotes because she gave the controller to her friend because it gave her such anxiety to play. And so she describes it as, she describes the time that she spent playing. She says, imagine a massive open world with wide open spaces and you're completely exposed. And as night falls, you begin to hear creepy sounds, but you have no idea what they are. And you try to look around for signs of danger, but a thick mist slowly begins to suffocate your sight. The sound gets louder and you strain your eyes to see if you can see something. And lo and behold, there seems to be something floating in the mist and towards you, I might add. I don't know what this is. I don't know what to do. I just freak out and toss the controller over to my friend. That is my experience in a nutshell. Fuck.
Yeah. No, I'm A, terrified, and B, still excited for this because it's, I didn't even think about this. Like, do VTs come out more at night?
Yeah.
Is there more of a connection to them there? Like, what's the? I'm excited. She remarks that it kind of feels like a Lovecraft tale.
Yeah, very
come to life.
Very cosmic horror.
Yeah. Which,
like, you know what? Fuck it, man. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll work through it, I guess. So if you want to have fucking nightmares, I guess Death Stranding is the game for you.
She also remarks that she is for sure that it'll win Game of the Year.
Yes, that was very interesting. She did mention that.
High praise.
Yeah, very, very high praise. Another person that got a chance to get hands-on with Death Stranding is Mr. Shuhei Yoshida, who is the president of SIE. He mentions that, he had the opportunity to play about 10 hours from the beginning of the game. And that he said that he heard from not only from Kojima, but from like the programmers and the debuggers of the game that like the second half of the game is going to make you cry. So
nice.
Great. Curious to see what that's about. So not only do I have cosmic horror, but I've got tears. So really,
for me, those go hand in hand. Personally,
it's a perfect video game.
Yeah.
He said he would compare the story to a really well done Netflix original series, which is pretty high praise.
Yeah, they do great stuff.
Yeah. The Games Radar article, the Games Radar article that I was reading the story on, he said that who wrote this article? Connor Sheridan said that debuggers have thick skins and minds like steel trap. You've got to really hit them with the capital E emotions to make them cry after everything they've seen. So you better get ready to cry like a BB when Death Stranding arrives this November.
Oh God!
And he's not wrong.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely not.
Yeah,
I'm pumped. I love a game that really kind of like tugs at my heartstrings and really gets me in that zone. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Then we have another article here on Kotaku. Brian Ashcraft wrote kind of like a summary of a Famitsu article that Hideo Kojima was part of, where he kind of talked about his experiences and his challenges after he left Konami. And he kind of mentions, I mean, it's almost 4 years ago that he left Konami after the Metal Gear Solid 5 situation. And he said that he was 53 and he had reached an age where you would normally retire, and he said that his family members were kind of against the idea of him setting up a new studio, but he did it anyway. He mentions, like, I mean, he said he mentions that he didn't have any money but he wanted to make this open world game, and I think what he means is that he didn't have he has money, but he does not have enough money to set up like this huge studio and do this ambitious thing with just what he had. So he needed like backing.
You need like financial investors and loans and whatnot. You can't just, I think I'm going to buy myself a studio real quick.
Right.
Hold
on. I think my favorite part of this article is just like the bank wasn't going to let me borrow money, but one of the bankers was a fan, and I got a loan. And I couldn't find somebody to give me a studio, but one of the people was a fan, and I got a studio.
I mean, what's crazy about that is, the article remarks that in Japan, he's not as renowned as someone like Miyazaki or something like that. So it's still really cool that someone was like, "Oh no, you're Kojima? Yeah, no, here you go.
Yeah, I got you.
Let me help you out here. I got you, buddy. Take it easy, my dude."
Yeah. So, he also mentions that he's been very like vocal in the past, like not immediately after the breakup, but he's been very vocal about how he's thankful for his time at Konami. And he mentions that, he spent almost 30 so years at Konami, and that kind of, it's the reason why he is who he is now. And he says, quote, "I cannot deny that connection." Ooh. So yeah, that was that. Before we get into this last little thing, so this last thing isn't necessarily Death Stranding related, but I think it's very important to talk about because it's super exciting stuff. But before we get into that, so since we last recorded, 2 songs from the Timefall soundtrack have been released. So we've gotten Meanwhile in Genova by the SLP and Yellow Box by The Neighborhood, and I wanted to see what you thought about those songs, Mr. Duncan.
I love them. I love them so much.
Yes. So, so let's talk about Yellow Box really quick.
All right. So The Neighborhood.
Yes, by The Neighborhood. Yellow Box is super good.
Oh my god, it's so good. Because look, we were talking a little bit before, off air. I was a super big fan of The Neighborhood's the big album that came out with Sweater Weather and whatnot on it. But
that album gives me emotional trauma.
Yeah. But I kind of fell off on them, after their more recent releases. But this one was absolutely blew me away. I loved every bit of the song. From that kind of eerie, where the track first starts up and it's a kind of percussion, but it's not. It's almost like a tape running back over itself, or a record kind of running back
before the official before the instrumentals come in, and it's very weird. But the beat's really good.
Oh yeah, well the ambience just fits. It's just kind of creepy, I don't know how to describe it, spacey, but yet isolated vibe to it.
Yeah, I'll clip in. Hey Sam, cue it here. I'll clip in a little snip of the beat really quickly. Here you go. So yeah, so it's very it's weird, and the song itself is very ethereal and spooky.
Yes. Give me 1 second here. I'm gonna look one thing up about Meanwhile in Genova.
Okay.
All right, never mind. That's weird. Never mind. Keep going.
Okay.
Well, the reason why. Oh, okay. Okay. No, I understand now. So the thing that I was confused about was a lot of the places where I was saying Meanwhile in Genova, the track listing, which by the way, dope. It sounds like a Bond theme, which is very much up.
Yeah.
Which is very much up Kojima's wheelhouse. Hey, Sam, cue it here.
but you're right though. It is very it's actually like it's actually really funny. I was listening to it at work today, and so I was upstairs. So our office building is like a two floor situation, and so I'm on the first floor, and I left my section, and then I went to walk upstairs I went into the lobby of upstairs, went inside, handled my things. I came out, I started listening to Meanwhile in Genova, and then like at the top of the stairs, like I paused for a second. I was like, okay, and then I started walking down when like the beat hit. I was like, I feel super cool right now.
You just want to be wearing a suit, just walking into like a high stakes casino or something like that.
Yeah, I felt like a badass, and then I sat down and ate teriyaki, and it was amazing.
Well, the thing that I was confused about is that a lot of these places were saying, the SLP, and then they were in parentheses writing Kasabian.
Yeah, it's
the
SLP
solo project.
It's a solo project from the main
Yeah. And I was like, wait a minute, hold on, what's going on here? Because I love Kasabian, but I didn't put two and two together.
Yeah. So, I wonder if so are you aware of like SLP like
have I heard them? Have I heard?
No. Oh no, I'm thinking about something completely different. Please ignore me.
Okay.
I was thinking about SCP, not SLP. Leave me alone.
Oh, like the quasi creepypasta?
Yeah.
I'm aware of that though.
Okay.
The same. Yeah, but say.
Sorry.
Well, it could be. It's kind of the same thing. I'm sure that there's an SCP that kind of would probably remind you of like a BET.
Yeah, probably. Who knows? We'll see. Somewhere in there. My experience with SCP is like Markiplier playing SCP Containment Breach. So like that's about my my experience with it.
There's a full on lore with that.
Mm-hmm.
That whole like mythos there. But yeah, I would say I'm looking forward to more tracks coming out. I'd love to hear the Bring Me the Horizon track.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably the one that I'm most excited for.
I'm most excited for that one. You mentioned earlier. I hope it's like kind of like more of a Sempiternal Bring Me the Horizon than their current jam. But we'll see. I'll be into it regardless, more than likely.
Yeah, more than likely.
And then I'm super ready for this Major Lazer and Khalid song too, Trigger.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one as well.
Very excited. So looking forward to the rest of this album coming out. The last thing that we have to talk about for news is it's not Death Stranding related technically, aside from the fact that it's probably coming out on Death Stranding is probably going to come out as a re-release on this when it comes out. But they announced the PlayStation 5. It's officially, I mean, we're big Sony fans here. I literally just got the button logos tattooed on my person a couple weeks ago.
Really good.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan. I'm a big Sony guy. They did confirm that it's going to be called the PlayStation 5 and it's going to be out in time for holiday 2020. So it's coming out next year, which is very exciting. So they posted a story, Wired did, to kind of talk about like the features, some of the features of the new PlayStation 5. So let me bring up these things here.
The discs that it's using are going to be going to be able to contain a lot more than what we're used to.
Yeah, so it's 100 gigabyte discs, I believe they said. Mm-hmm. They're using ray tracing, which is that lighting like effect that like makes things super realistic. There's a SSD, which is gonna be crazy for like loading times and speed.
Yes,
super excited about that. I remember I remember seeing a video, and I don't know if it was a leak or what, but somebody compared loading the new Spider-Man game on a PS4 versus loading it on like a something that had an SSD, and it loaded so fast.
It was like where it might take you 15 seconds on a PS4, it will take you like 2 on something with an SSD.
Yes.
And I saw one thing and I might be misquoting it, but it's like, you will be able to download certain parts of games. So it's like, if you're a big Call of Duty guy and you're not there for the story, you're just there to kind of like mix it up in multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
You can just download, your multiplayer maps, because that was one of the big gripes that people have had with the PS4 is storage. Constantly having to go in and delete old games or game files to free up storage space for these bigger games.
Yeah.
So that'll be a really, really cool feature that I'm looking forward to.
Well, then it also like brought up the fact too. It was like, so maybe you'd be able to download an entire game and then play through the story, and then when you're done with the story, you can just delete the single player portion and keep the multiplayer on your console.
Yeah,
which is super cool.
Yeah, for sure.
They're also revamping the UI. So basically it's going to give you more information about what other people are doing, and it's just going to be a little bit of a different like UI system, which is like, I'm ready for a new UI. Like I think the PS4 has the better UI out of the three. So we have the Switch, the Xbox One, and the PS4. I think the PS4 has the better UI out of the three of them, but all three of them are like not good. The Xbox One, I had an Xbox One for like a little bit, and the Xbox One's UI gives me anxiety.
Yeah, I mean it's like having to go through like different folders and menus, and it's just there's too much. I mean, I like the PlayStation UI just because everything's kind of centralized across that that rolling bar, which has been a kind of a thing for PlayStation since PS3. And, even on like the Vita or the PSP, you just have that single rolling bar. But I like the idea that they're streamlining kind of everything together on this new UI.
And honestly, like I want it to be interesting. Like I just I want to look at something interesting, because I'm going to be using it a lot. So I want to
absolutely
interesting without being overly complicated, I guess, which is definitely possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they mentioned that like said even though it's fairly fast to boot up games, they don't want people to have to boot up the game and then to see what's going on. So they're going to show like, here's multiplayer servers on your UI that will give you like joinable activities in real time. Here's single player where they'll show you what missions you have the ability to do and what rewards you might receive for completing them, and then all of these things in the UI. And I'm hoping that reflects to the trophies, because there's a lot of games that have trophies where you have to like kill this many enemies, and I hope that they track that for you in the UI.
Yeah.
Which would be awesome.
Are you a big trophy hunter, Sam?
I'm not a trophy hunter, but like there are just certain like I like seeing the progress on some of them.
Sure.
So I think it would just be nice, because there are some games where I do want to, like, if I really really love the game, like I'll do the trophy. So like Spider-Man, for an example. I really love Spider-Man, and so I got the Platinum Trophy for Spider-Man, but there are a couple trophies in there where it's like, you have to web blast this many people. I'm just like, I wish I knew how many people I've web blasted at this point.
Like a tracker, yeah, for sure.
It would be nice if they tracked that. The next really really big thing is the controller, which is super exciting. So it has an improved speaker and yada yada, but it's not necessarily called the DualShock 5 like the rest of them have been. Mark Cerny said that it doesn't have a name, but they are what it seems like they're removing the rumble and adding in adaptive triggers that give more like haptic feedback.
Which was so cool to me.
Yes, I fucking love that. Haptic feedback. I'll take that over the rumble feature like all day.
No, for sure.
We've had rumble since like back in the PS1 days, right? So it's like it's something
completely new.
It's something completely different that can add to your immersion. So the example that was given is that like, so it can make shooting a bow and arrow feel like the real thing, because the tension on the haptic feedback will increase as you pull it back, or it will give you the effect that like firing a machine gun will feel different from firing a shotgun.
Which will make for some crazy instances, just pulling that trigger. You know, it's like you'll have like an actual like a weight to it almost.
Yeah. And so the person who wrote this article for Wired, let me get the name here, Peter Rubin, mentioned that he like, it gave him a distinct feeling, like it felt very tactile. So like when he was going through sand, like he did a platforming with like different like levels, and like sand made it feel slow, and mud felt like soggy, and ice like made the thumbsticks feel like the character, like you were gliding, which is like,
right.
Oh god, like I
That's
need,
so cool.
I need
Yeah,
that in my life. And the controller is heavier too, which is just like, I love that.
Yeah, like so you actually feel like you have something in your hands.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, super excited about that. So they talked about like the ray tracing and all that stuff, We still don't know what like storage capacity it's going to launch with. But like anything less than a terabyte is going to be like a no go, right?
I would assume so. Yeah, I mean, if we're using disks that can contain, 100 gigabytes worth of information, I would assume that a terabyte is like the ground floor.
Mm-hmm. And I wonder if we're even going to have to like install games anymore, given how fast they're supposed to boot up with the SSD.
God, I hope not. God, I hope not.
So we'll see, but it sounds very interesting. I'm definitely going to get one.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I'm looking forward to seeing what that baby can do. So that's it for the news. Cole,
Sam,
we're like 40 minutes in. You want to talk about characters?
I mean, you know what? Actually, let's just go ahead and call it right here.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Yep. Sam, where can they find you on the internet?
Yeah, you can find me on the internet. Fuck off. We're going to talk about characters. .com.
Yeah, let's do this.
It's so hard to form connections when you can't shake hands. Fortunately, I've got a good connection to the other side.
So let's dive in. So we're going to kind of start with the kind of supporting cast, and then we're going to get into Higgs and Cliff. And so I want to start with, I think, the person who probably has the most like clearly defined role, which I believe is going to be Heartman.
Okay.
Portrayed by Nicholas Winding Refn, because we've been given these character trailers, right? And so, of course, Heartman is the guy who he dies to go to the beach, and then this AED machine brings him back to life for 21 minutes before he stops his heart again, right?
Yep. He's on the other side for 3 minutes.
Yep.
Every time.
Yep. And so what I thought was actually very interesting, and this was a theory that I had before I heard this, but it was confirmed by Kojima, is that he actually goes there to look for his family.
Mm-hmm.
And so
really sad.
Yeah, very sad, because like if you look in the background of like his room, you can see like blurry pictures that clearly depict somebody with like a family, and so some bad shit happened to his family, and they're on the beach clearly, and that's why he's doing this. So like under the guise of researching the beach, like he's going there and
try and find his family.
Yeah, and studying it obviously, but like with his main goal to be like finding my family.
Well, there's one trailer where you see him being, dragged back, and I wonder if that's a scene where he actually caught a glimpse of them, and his 3 minutes was up, so he was being dragged back thanks to his AED.
Yeah,
which is kind of heartbreaking to think about.
Yeah, it really does suck. I'm wondering, like, my wonder here is that, like, so he's being dragged back, and he's in color, obviously, because he's not dead. But then everybody else down there in that big crowd that he's being dragged away from is gray, which we've seen. I wonder, like, how much interaction do you get to have with like the people who are on the beach? Because Sam obviously goes there.
Yeah, I can't imagine too much. But at the same time, I'm not sure about that, just from what we've seen, like Sam, where like scenes where he is, like running through a battlefield, like he's interacting with, people on the other side.
Yeah.
That could be strictly a Sam thing. Like maybe his doom is that powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Hartman's, if he has a doom, which I would assume because he does. It's implied that he has a chiral allergy, correct?
Yeah, because he does do the crying as well. But then it's also like he has a chiral allergy, but then like he might have a chiral allergy, but we have no idea if that's like a chiral allergy or maybe he like just got done seeing his family and then he woke up and then he was sad. So we don't know.
Right.
That might be a bait and switch. So who knows? But
sure.
I
can't imagine that he would be able to have too much interaction with them just because they're in essence on I from what I can guess like a different plane or on some kind of place that's so ethereal that you can't grasp it. Like you can be there but you can't really be there unless you are in fact dead.
Yeah. So I don't know. I still don't understand how like it all works. Is like, what's the difference between Sam going to the beach when he's like being dragged down, and then we've seen the ones where he's like where he is gray and he's there, but then there are times when he's like there and naked and he's holding a baby and he's in color. Like I don't know. Like I still don't understand the mechanics of you as a player going to the beach.
Well, now that I'm talking about it, he dies. Like he's dead. I mean, that's what happens when he goes over. So maybe he is able to interact.
Maybe.
I'm not sure. Someone much smarter than me did the math on this, and it's kind of crazy.
Okay.
He dies roughly 60 times a day.
Yeah.
And he says that he has done this 218,550 times.
That's too many times, dog.
That's almost a decade.
Yeah, that's too many times, my dude.
It's a lot of times to die.
Like, I wonder, I get the idea of, like, you're so dedicated to looking for your family. I wonder why he doesn't, like, take a break and actually do sleep, you know what I mean? Like, at night, because he said that, like, there are certain things that are difficult, which is, like, cleaning, like washing himself and like having sex, which he says he doesn't have trouble with. And,
you dirty dog.
Yeah. And, some other things. And so he said sleeping was an issue. So I wonder why he doesn't just like take a break for 8 hours a day and then go, like, I wonder if it's like hardwired into his body system now that if he stops, like he's going to actually die.
Well, that was kind of my thought process, is that it's not something that he's choosing to do. And that's why I was saying that maybe he has a doom that, because if you're dead for 3 minutes at a time, you're going to incur some kind of massive like trauma, like as far as your brain is concerned.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, your body's starved of oxygen, so your brain's starved of oxygen. I mean, that's serious brain damage.
Well, I wonder if
maybe his doom allows him to kind of allow his body to maintain, like as a stasis almost.
Well, I wonder if he started doing it as a choice to begin with, because maybe he started doing it to find his family, and then he realized that like his body like composition could not like live if he didn't stop doing it. So that's why he's like forced to live like this.
Constantly do it. Yeah.
So, the other thing too is that I wonder if he's the guy. So the bracelet. Still not entirely sure what that does. Last week we kind of discussed like what it might be for a little bit, but we're still not entirely sure what purpose it serves. But the way he was like messing with it makes me think that he invented it.
Maybe it's either him or Deadman. I think it has a lot to do with the chiral network or interacting with the chiral network in some capacity, and I'll get more into that when we get to Deadman. But I think it's their way of accessing and manipulating the network in some capacity. So it's maybe him logging in his findings from going over.
I actually Oh, go ahead.
And Amelie does say to Sam, when he's complaining about having the cuff, she's like, it's not a shackle. It's a representation of the bonds that keep us all together. It's what ties us all together. And so that's just another kind of inference that the cuff does kind of allow you to access the network in some capacity.
Right. So, I mean, it's interesting stuff. I think maybe like that's a Dead Man Heartman code joint, you know what I mean? Potentially.
Yeah, for sure. They've co-signed the cuff.
Yeah. I also did I watched a video, somebody else's video, and forgive me, I can't remember the name of the person right now, but I watched a video where they zoomed in on his character poster and found out that his first name might actually be Roman.
Okay.
Like Romin. I mean, I don't think that means anything. I just thought it was interesting that he has that might be his first name.
His actual name.
Yeah. Because like if Sam has a name, like why wouldn't he? Like why wouldn't all these other people that seem to just have these weird one names? Like maybe it is like quote middle name, like Sam's middle name is Porter, maybe like Hartman's middle name is Hartman, his real name is Roman, and then maybe his name is Roman Bridges because he works for Bridges or something like that.
Or it could be Roman Hartman.
Yeah,
I mean, having that surname once again, kind of ego death, like you are, like that's your thing.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so I think with him, I don't really have a whole lot of theories with him. I think what he's doing is pretty straightforward, and I think he'll probably like have some moments like in the back half of the game that are going to be very emotional. But I don't really have a lot of like theory around him. So
I don't either. I assume he's going to kind of act as like a quasi Otacon to an extent.
Yeah.
Your token smart guy with glasses.
I wonder if you can like hang out with him and watch one of his movies like in the game,
That would be really fun. Or
and like all of his shit is like we can watch it in less than 20 minutes. So like you could do it in real time if you wanted to. Like that could be a thing.
Watch 20 minutes of love, which
20 minutes of love.
Pulls out.
Yeah. So we'll see. So you spoke of Dead Man. Why don't we talk about Dead Man?
Sure. That's old Guillermo del Toro as the mocap with Jesse Cordy doing the voice.
Old Guillermo del Toro with his little Frankenstein scar on his head.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna start with this.
Get it.
Dead Man's brain in a jar. Done.
Okay. Would you like to elaborate?
I don't think that he is alive. I think that he is dead. He is a dead man. But I think that they managed to salvage his brain somehow, and that's how he is able to communicate with everybody and still work. And I'm sensing some like complicated tie from like some kind of complicated tie via the fucking strands to the beach or whatever the fuck. But there's that scar is on his head, so he's obviously had like it's across his whole fucking head. So
yeah,
it leads me to believe that like something happened where he had to do something with his brain. So I think they harvested his brain so that they could still communicate with him. And then he's a projection, and that's why his body is visible.
I'm going to disagree with you on that. I think he's alive.
You think so?
I think that there is I think there is an element of death with him, obviously from the name. Maybe, there was a full-on transplant, or he had some kind of crazy, surgery that brought him back from the dead. But he also, even though he's a hologram from all that we've seen, he is wearing one of the cuffs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very corporeal thing. I don't think...
I mean, if you're a hologram, does it really matter what you're wearing? You know what I mean? Like, it could also still be a hologram.
Yes, but I don't understand the point of giving him a cuff. If he's a hologram, why not just, have him just be your Cortana and access the chiral network, via his dead man brain?
Because maybe not everybody knows he's dead. It's like Bruce Willis. It's like Bruce Willis was dead at the end of Sixth Sense. Fucking spoilers. Bruce Willis was dead at the end of Sixth Sense, and you didn't know he was dead, but maybe like instead of him not knowing he's dead, it's everybody else doesn't know he's dead.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much how many secrets or how many people will be looking into the bridges of the UCA. They seem like a pretty tight company. Not a whole lot of employees working there.
I guess. I don't know. I just don't. I think like I don't know. I know it feels very spot on, but I almost feel like that's intentional.
Yeah, if you're right, you're right, and I'll applaud you when we find out.
This one is an applaud, not a slap.
I mean, I've already been shamed by Dad about we've both been shamed by Dad about this slap bet, but
yeah,
I mean it's still on. It's still definitely
definitely
on.
Still on.
He does a lot of work with BBs though. That's what we know for sure.
Yeah.
And there was a part in the Bridge Baby Dead Man trailer that I guess I had skimmed over, but going back and revisiting it, I found interesting. He explains that the BB's mother is a still mother. She's brain dead in the ICU in Capital Knot City, and from what I can tell, it's messed up talking about this. Really, when I'm thinking about it, you're connecting your BB to the chiral network, and that chiral network is then connected also to the still mother in the ICU. So you're essentially making the baby think that it's still in its mother's womb via the chiral network, and he updates it with that with his cuff, and that's what I was talking about with Heartman, is that he obviously uses the cuff to do the update. So that's why I was thinking that the cuff is definitely something that one of them has a big hand in. No pun intended there.
That was the creeper. That one hit me that one hit me late, but that's very funny.
I'm glad.
He got his hand in the cover. I do like that. I do enjoy that.
I'm full of them.
Full of them. Zingers, baby. Zingers. Bring them on.
Just I'm on out here.
Knock them out of the park, baby.
What's the deal with BBs?
Yeah, what's the deal with brain dead mothers? God. Wow.
Oh no.
Please continue before I get myself into
trouble. You don't think we've dug deep enough?
No, I don't think so. Should I go on another rant about babies?
No. Let's. They're ugly. They're stupid.
I've already called them ugly and stupid. What more damage can I do?
And in this universe, they're in still mothers' wombs, connected via the internet. How do you like that?
Yep, the babies are in the cloud. The babies are in the cloud.
Cloud babies.
Upload the cloud babies. Upload them now. Before it's too late. We got to back up our cloud babies.
I'll talk a little bit more about it as we go on, but he almost has a run-in with someone that we're going to be talking about later.
Yes, with Mr. Cliff.
With Mr. Cliff, because he is transporting a bridge baby at one point.
Yes, through like this crazy war zone. I have a weird theory about that war zone that we'll also talk about a little bit later too.
I've got one as well, so okay. I'm wondering if they match up.
Yeah.
Do we want to move on to let's see here.
You want to do Mama or Die-Hardman?
Let's go ahead and talk about Mama.
All right. She's my baby. I'm her mama. Me and Alessio got a kick out of it. She had a really I really do love Margaret Qualley a lot, but she had a really weird inflection.
What is that thing?
It's what?
What is that thing? She's my baby.
I'm her mama.
I'm her mama.
She's my baby. And if you say it with enough cadence, sounds like Barack Obama. She's my baby. And I'm her mama. Let me be clear. That's my baby. My fellow Americans.
That is my baby. That is my baby.
My fellow United Cities of America. That's my favorite. Remote.
God bless Bridges. God bless the
God bless
UCA.
Merck. Amen. Jesus Christ.
You know what? Do you know what his favorite? Since we're in Halloween season, do you know what his favorite candy is?
Obama? What is that?
The peanut butter cup. Reese's peanut butter cup.
Yeah. I really want a Reese's peanut butter cup.
Speaking of Obama, let's talk about Oh Mama.
Oh Mama.
Oh Mama, voiced and acted by Miss Margaret Qualley.
Who might be the love of my life currently.
Really?
Yeah, I fucking love that woman. Whew.
She's obviously a Bridges affiliated.
Yeah, she has that Bridges logo on her shirt.
One thing I noticed about her, I'm gonna butcher this word until I played this game enough.
Cool.
The Ultra Deck. Yeah, Ultra Deck. Is that it looks different than Sam's, and it looks different than everyone else's. It kind of looks like a wing.
It looks different from Sam's, and then it also looks different from Higgs, which also looks different from Sam's as well.
It also looks, yeah, I'll say it looks different than Fragile has one as well, doesn't she?
No, not that I've seen.
Okay,
not that we've seen because we talked about that last week.
Oh yeah, that's right. She has the umbrella.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she has this. Her pata pata looks like a wing.
Yes, like a little angel wing.
Her daughter or baby was born on the other side, and so manifested as a BT.
Yeah, which if you pay attention to, she's waving at that, like in one of the trailers, she's waving at that BT, and its little particles are white instead of black.
Yeah. So it's safe to assume that in some kind of weird way, she is like these bridge mothers, these still mothers.
Well, so she's wearing this this like machine, like just like anybody else's, but like this like strap goes like down like below her waist, and I'm wondering if it's like, this is super creepy. I'm wondering if it's like connected to her womb almost. Because if you pay attention, because she has that she has that line, that like almost like umbilical cord like line that's connected to her, and I wonder if that is like part of it.
Maybe. I mean,
because if you remember, so if we're looking at it, she's waving at the BT, and it's white, and that baby BT that she's holding, which is her baby, is also white. But then there's that clip of her under the rubble. And she's looking up at another baby BT, but it is black. And I'm wondering if like the rubble damaged like the equipment, and so she no longer has that strong tie to the other side, so that they like maybe her ability is that since she is a mother, she is mama, her ability is able to, like, because she also cries, so maybe she also has a chiral allergy as well. Maybe her doom is that she has the ability to pacify the BTs.
That's really interesting, because now that we're talking about it, we do see her. She was one of the first characters that we saw. We just didn't know who she was. In the trailer for Troy Baker, Sam is carrying her.
Yeah,
on his back,
which like probably I would assume happens after that rebel accident.
Exactly, because she says that she can't leave because of her baby.
Yeah,
because of her baby.
And so maybe the accident like disconnects them, and now she's able to leave, and he has to get her somewhere, and that's one of the missions. Maybe.
Not a lot. We don't know a whole lot about her. I think that maybe that her ability to be able to pacify BTs is a sound one. I mean, she's obviously done that with one.
Yeah.
Her own.
Yeah. Well, it's
I
her
still
own,
understand.
But then, it's her own, but then like this was also something that I did discuss with Alessio, is that if you go back and watch the trailer, the baby's up in like up by the ceiling, but there is another BT in the room that crawls towards it. And so there, like she seemingly has at very least pacified 2 BTs in some way, or there's some reason why these BTs are not aggressive and like dangerous.
Or they feel like some kind of connection to her. Like, like she is a mother, someone that they can come to. But yeah, I'm really excited to see, more about her. Do you want to talk about Die-Hardman now?
Yeah, let's talk about Die-Hardman. Tommy Earl Jenkins, the man with the second most line in the video game. Of course, he is the assistant to the true villain of Death Stranding, Amelie.
You're really riding hard on that one, aren't you?
Listen, I've got a slap bet on this. If I don't fucking ride hard on it, then what's the fucking point? You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, like I've been doing some training. I've been hitting the gym.
Slap training.
Yep. Listen, I've been watching all those slap videos on YouTube.
All I gotta say is you better fucking hope that I'm not right, because I've been joining a fucking boxing gym. So, and that's 100% true. That's 100%
really cool.
Real fact.
It's really, really cool. But so when I'm right, we'll be
damn.
Yeah. That's a taste. That's an audio taste right there for you.
Wow.
So
ready? What does 5 fingers say to the face?
Slap.
Should have never given y'all. I can't say it. They should have never given y'all money.
Metal Gear Mondays providing jokes from Chappelle. From
Yep. We're 8
years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you said, Commander Bridges, second in command to definitely not a villain, Amelie.
Okay.
Okay. He's heading up the rescue mission to go get the not villain Amelie.
Mm-hmm. Get her actual body back. Yeah.
Yep, to get her back from the Homa demons. He's also the guy that put the cuff on Sam.
Yes.
From what we can tell.
Yes. This guy is very interesting. His name is Die-Hardman, and we know, like, somebody who is a die-hard is somebody who shows a very, like, strong, distinct devotion to a cause, right? So even like a failing cause. So in the briefing trailer, we have this illustration of Die-Hardman, who is like, Sam's like, this is useless. This doesn't make any sense. And Die-Hardman's like, we have to do it for her. He's very dedicated to Amelie and to the cause of connecting the country again.
Right.
Yeah.
He also, also on his mask, there's a lot of different numbers, but we also see the word Ludens appear.
Yes.
Up there as well. So there's yet another allusion to the mascot of Kojima Productions.
I can't remember if it was with you or with Alessio, but I wonder how important Ludens is actually in this game, if at all. Like, are these just Easter eggs, or is he actually like a thing in the game?
I had originally kind of thought that, like Ludens fan, because he has the Kojima Productions logo on the side of his building. I just assumed that was a Easter egg, but now that I'm seeing more of, seeing more and more mentions of Ludens, I'm starting to think that there is some deeper meaning to the character.
Yeah.
You the delivery dude? Oh, that's a relief. I've just about given up on you. Good job, man. Good job.
That is one of my pet peeves. Like when you're at a urinal, then there's obviously like a spot in between.
Yes. Oh my God. You have to leave fucking space. You know what? Leave space at a fucking, like, I was gonna just like seamlessly transition us in. We had to take a break for a second. Leave space at the fucking urinal. If you got 3 urinals and there's a guy at the right urinal, go to the far left urinal and leave that space in between.
Don't be that guy.
Fucking
don't be, and if there's a stall and there's only 1 urinal or there's only 2 urinals, Go to the stall.
Go to the stall.
Go to the stall.
Fucking weirdos.
Animals.
Fucking animals. Anyway,
where were we?
Yeah. So,
What were we talking about?
so there's another thing about Die-Hardman too is that his mask has those like gold like divots on the side too.
Yeah.
And gold is a very important like thing and color in this game. This is something we'll dive into a little bit more next week with Nitroid, but with Ryan. But this gold is very important in this game. It seems.
Yeah. I just looked something up. I can't believe this is the first time I've looked this up. Homo ludens translates to man the player.
Oh.
Yeah.
So like fan of the player then.
Yeah, fan of the player, or ludens being player, I assume. I don't speak Latin. But yeah, so fan of the player, Homo ludens being the general, the official name of that character. I assume ludens is supposed to be you, like us, the actual player.
Yeah.
So maybe that those numbers will mean something in the future. Someone can decipher that in the future.
Maybe you get to
and will mean
dress up
something
like
more.
Ludens.
Which would be really cool because I would love to be a giant spaceman walking around.
Well, if you kind of look at Ludens and some of like the 3D things that have been released about Ludens. So Ludens has like this like staff and it's a flag, but it's like this weird like electrical projection flag, which definitely looks like something that would be in this world. Mm-hmm. And then he's got that like pack on his back where he's supposed to be a spaceman, but like could that be like where you would carry some supplies across the country?
I mean, it's very possible. It's like a very impressive hazmat.
Yeah. So I don't know. And then he has a very similar face mask to Higgs as well too. So it's kind of like, like I wonder, like the symbolism is very interesting to me. Die-Hardman's character poster too. He is standing. He's facing the camera head on, and he's standing like above the corpse that we believe to be Bridget. And that's very ominous to me. And then if you look at his character like drawing that Yoji Shinkawa did, he looks very skeletal, very spooky, very Grim Reaper. So I wonder if like that has anything to do, like maybe that has something to do with something.
Maybe. The thing is though, with Yoji Shinkawa's drawings, I love them.
Yes.
But
all of his drawings, which we really haven't talked about it much, but like he did the character drawings for this game, and they're phenomenal. They're some of like the best character drawings like in a world full of like amazing character drawings. Like these are some of the best ones he's done.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if I can get prints, like I would really personally like to get a print of like Higgs. Honestly,
yes, Higgs is
love
great.
his. But I mean, everyone looks creepy.
Well,
those sketches. But
that's true. But then, like, why does this motherfucker have a skull mask? You know what I mean?
I think it's maybe possibly like a commentary on death, where it's like we see the Grim Reaper as this kind of being of evil, whereas it's not. He's indifferent.
Mm-hmm.
He's simply carrying out a task, same as Die-Hardman possibly. He's just doing a job.
Which like I don't mean like it's like I don't mean it to be like mean to say like, oh yeah, he's this sinister. Now Die-Hardman's the true bad guy. I don't mean to say anything like that. It's just very it just very much reminds me of like death of like a very
I get exactly what you're saying for sure.
So like it I wonder if like that has anything to do, because I've also said my theory that I think Die-Hardman might be dead too.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that time where like he just kind of like appears randomly behind Sam in that one trailer.
Right.
So I don't know, but I think like I very much think like there's some symbolism to like these character portraits, because it seems like there are important things in these portraits. Like for example, like in Amelie's Yoji Shinkawa portrait, like her necklace is super pronounced in this. Like you definitely tell that it's there. Fragile's umbrella is in hers. Like there's like these all seem very important.
Yeah. I'm looking at them currently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he looks terrifying.
Who, Die-Hardman?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, so are you looking at like the big long like banner of them?
Yes.
Because he's standing
like,
next to Cliff, and he's standing in between Cliff and Higgs in this like sequence, and like he looks like he belongs with them. Like he looks like a bad guy in this.
I mean, he looks like Zero, like from like MGS3.
Yes, he does.
But with a skull mask on, yeah. And I don't know. And the other thing that I'm noticing now are his chains.
Yeah.
He's got a red and a blue chain on.
Mm-hmm. Well, so if you look, so it looks red and blue in the drawing, but if you look at his actual like model, it's like a bronze and almost like a silvery like black, like an onyx almost. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I wonder if like does that mean anything? Like do the colors mean anything? So actually, let me look that up right now. Chain symbolism. What has Google got for me with this particular thing?
Higgs just looks so crazy though.
Higgs looks fucking. We'll talk about this a little bit more, but doesn't Higgs kind of look a little bit like a pharaoh in his drawing?
Kinda, yeah, with that yellow and black
the
arm
stripe, and then like the shape of his hood and things like that.
Yeah, well, and that's not his arm. That's the inside of his hood. I'm just not realizing.
Yeah,
he's pointing.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. So let me see here. There's I'm on oneforisrael.org, where it's talking about what the meaning of bronze in the Bible. Because we've noticed a lot of like really weird like religious symbolism in this so far.
Yeah.
Both on and off air. So let's see. So I'm reading this article. It was written by, there's no name on it, but it's written at this website. Bronze is where God's judgment deals with sin. Only then can a person enter the pure and holy presence of God. The sin and uncleanness was dealt with at the bronze altar and the bronze sea. So bronze is apparently...
Silver obviously plays a big portion of the Bible as well.
Yeah. And then gold is is meant to like symbolize God's kingship and glory. Silver represents redemption, and like the silver coins, and you exchange the silver coins of Sharon for like passage to the land of the dead and things like that. So it's like there's a lot of symbolism with silver because he has a silver chain and the bronze chain. So
let's see here.
So silver represents redemption and bronze represents sin and judgment with sin. So that's another thing that kind of is just like, well, like it's very reapery.
Yeah, well, the thing with silver that I was referring to was the 30 pieces of silver. Yeah. So I mean, like we're kind of spinning around this. I mean, he's an ambivalent character.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't. I want to think he is good.
Yeah. I think he's going to be very. What's the word I'm looking for here? Not pragmatic, I don't think. Maybe pragmatic is the word I'm looking for, but very like, this is the mission. If I do a good thing or if I do a bad thing, it's not because I am good or bad. It's because it is in service of the mission.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing I think that at least I'm glazing over, because I'm definitely trying to put people, like pigeonhole people into, are you good or are you bad? This is a Hideo Kojima game, and for years, that's kind of been his MO, is that, the line between good and evil is very blurred.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, almost all of his characters are like that. You know, you go back into Metal Gear Solid, Big Boss, Ocelot, Kaz. I mean, these just from 5.
Yeah.
These 3 characters, you know, one could argue, yeah, no, they are good, but at the same time, they are not good people.
No, of course.
I mean, you know, they're warmongering, to an extent.
Yeah. Which, like, worse in 5 than in Peace Walker, just for the record.
Right,
Still.
right. Like, literally, Big Boss, you know, is creating a child army.
Yep.
At one point. So, and Kaz is totally cool with it, you know, and he's, like, encouraging it. And then, you know, obviously with Ford, it's not Ocelot, it's Liquid. I don't want to open that can of worms right now.
Yeah, no, let's yeah.
But yeah, no, like that's the thing, is that, you know, these characters may be, you know, all in this moral gray. I mean, that kind of seems like a big thing going into the game, is that, you know, in order to connect and to understand, you have to be able to interact. It's, you know, it kind of goes back to what Higgs says in one of the trailers, which is it's hard to form connections when they are unable to shake hands.
That the back half of that quote has some stuff I want to talk about in a little bit too.
Sure.
Where he talks about how he has a good connection to the other side too.
I got a theory on that as well.
I wonder what, and the other thing is, he was like, I wonder what the deal with his mask is.
With Die-Hardman's? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's, you know, he endured some kind of crazy, you know, scarring, or it's a medically, it's Orpheus, so it's like, you know, medically required that he has it on. It moves with his mouth.
Yeah, which is it's very much Slappy the Dumb, like because it's very weird, because like it doesn't move sometimes, but then other times it does. So it's like that weird. You remember those weird like Chewbacca masks that like moved with your mouth? It's kind of like one of those, except like maybe more advanced, but maybe not, because it also doesn't work in the same way that the Chewbacca ones didn't work.
Well, I mean, the bolts, those golden bolts, seem like they might be, you know, screwed into bone.
Yeah, so it's keeping it,
you know,
there.
It's keeping his face together.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm not sure, because we never see him mess with a mask. Unlike the only other person that we see with a mask who definitely messes with his mask.
Yeah, in shocking and surprising ways.
Very surprising ways. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see how he ties into the story and how he interacts with Sam throughout the mission.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we move on to who I think we should talk about is Higgs next.
I agree.
Before we move on to Higgs, I'm looking at these character portraits again, and did you notice on Deadman's, he has like a weird like rope hanging from his like waist where his cuff is?
Are we talking the Yoji Shinkawa?
Yeah. There's like a weird like cord or rope hanging from his waist. I wonder what that's about.
I'm not sure.
Maybe it's a noose.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, cool. Want to get into want to bite into the steak and talk about Higgs a little bit?
Let's get into the nitty gritty here.
Yeah, dude.
The man with the gold mask. For the longest time. That's all we knew him as. Troy Baker.
Baker.
The guy that plays him. I really, really love Troy Baker. I'll just throw that out there.
Me too. I'm hoping we'll be able to get him on the show sometime.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
So are we in agreement that he is the leader of the Homo Demons?
Yeah.
Or at least the sect of the Homo Demons, because they are decentralized?
Definitely. My first question here is like, I think he's the leader because like he's clearly fucking like powerful, right? So
Very, very.
how do you think that the other do you think that the other homo demons have powers as well, or do you think it's just Higgs and that's why he's the leader?
That's what I don't know. I think that they might in some capacity, because I think maybe in this world you have to have some kind of doom to exist above ground. But I think he is just so insanely powerful.
Because they're the homo demons. We've talked about this before. Homo demons translates roughly to madmen, right? Or not even roughly, like it translates to madmen.
It's verbatim. And because I thought those homo demons, like DEMONS.
Yeah, DEMENS, which is Latin for mad, or So, the impression I get is that they split off, and I think I get an impression that they consider themselves like evolved beings.
Yes, that's what I assumed as well.
Which means to me that like the rest of them would have to have some kind of powers, right?
Right, because otherwise, why would they split off and follow this guy?
Right, like why would this guy, who's clearly like, whether or not you believe he's like a real villain, he's clearly fucking insane.
Yeah,
he's definitely insane. He's definitely an extremist. Like he's clearly like nuts. And so why would this fanatical like terrorist basically accept people who were quote inferior to, you know?
I mean, like, you know, I get like, you know, followers, you know, power in numbers. You know, they don't want to be a part of the UCA at all.
Yeah.
You know, they're, you know, tied up in Edgenut City, correct?
Yes. No. Yeah. Edgenut City. Is it Edgenut City?
I think it's Edgenut there on the
coast.
The West Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would assume, you know, that they worship, or that they are so deeply tied to the Death Stranding, to the events that happened, and I think that's what gave them, you know, their powers, and they have just embraced them in such a way, because he has a ton from what we've seen.
He has a fuck shit ton of powers. So just I'm just gonna list the things that I remember right now, and you can fill in details.
Sure.
Not like what we think about it, but just like what we've seen him do. So number one, he can float, right? Because you see him float down in front of Sam and that other guy in the one trailer. He can teleport. We've seen this happen a couple times. He can create lightning, and he can also use this lightning to like make it start raining or timefall. He can start timefall, and then he can summon and apparently control BTs.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
No, I mean, I think you've got it all, because, you know, he can summon a number of types of BTs, because, you know, when he, you know, takes the mask off to summon the catcher, you know, he throws it kind of into the ground. His BB that he carries goes red.
Well, I noticed the BB's red the entire time.
Yeah, well, I mean, it starts like glowing.
Yeah.
Like it's like it's like he's like, it's almost like he's putting the BB in a state of terror to evoke something, and so maybe that is, you know, his way of summoning BTs. Because when he puts the mask down, you start to see BTs come up. And
they kind of like
trying to grab at him.
They swirl around him, and then they like can't get him because like
like he throws the mask up in the air, and then all of a sudden the giant catcher with a golden mask appears.
Yeah, it's very like, and so like it's also very clear that like there are BTs that are under his control and ones that are not, because in the demo we saw that catcher that did not have a gold mask on.
Right.
So we can assume that that's just like a free roaming BT, but then you'll also kind of notice in other trailers where they've shown enemies, like the character reveal trailer and things like that, the release date trailer, there are other enemies that have like gold on them, and perhaps those enemies are the ones that are controlled by Higgs.
Right. I think that's a fair assumption. Fellow Southerner, so hey, what's going on there? He's captured Amelie, as we stated, and stole her necklace. And like we pointed out in the Shinkawa Prince, and in a past episode, the necklace seems like it's important, right?
Yeah, gold.
Like, yeah, it's the gold necklace. I mean, I honestly still am kind of harping on this, kind of like it's a proto-Cupid.
Yeah.
I honestly, that's the best theory that I can come up with for that.
Yeah, like which like I think that's about the only thing I can think of, but I wonder if it's not like the source of like some kind of like source of power almost.
Maybe.
Like maybe like pieces of it, like maybe it used to be like way more ornate, and then like pieces of it got broken off to create like his mask and things like that.
Right.
So
definitely a powerful Doom. And I don't know if that Doom is his abilities to summon BTs or what.
Lightning.
We still don't really know what Dooms really are.
Yeah, we have no idea. We just know that they exist. They are attached to potentially chiral allergies, and they have some kind of levels to them.
There was one thing that we touched on. It was off mic last night when we were talking to Ryan Nitroid.
His eyebrow.
His eyebrow, yeah, and I looked more into it today.
Mm-hmm.
So Higgs has it looks like a tattoo on his eyebrow, and it's it's part of the equation to the electromagnetic tensor equation.
Mm-hmm.
And for everyone, including me, who's not a physicist, and so
Professor Cole Duncan at your service here to give you a lesson in electrotension magnetic fucking bullshit.
Yeah, for full disclosure and disclaimer, I'm not a scientist.
He has a doctorate. Don't
no
let him
way.
fool you. He's Dr. Cole Duncan.
Please, that's my father.
You can call me Dr. Cole Duncan.
So electromagnetic tensor to manipulate space.
Mm-hmm.
Or electromagnetic tensors are user fields which are a property of space and are kind of used to explain how particles interact with one another. So my theory on that is that he's possibly using these fields to manipulate space. That could be how he floats, how he teleports, and it could also be how he is reaching across to the other side. He is manipulating space to create these kind of fields where he's able to go over, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because he claims to have such a good connection to the other side, and this is where I was going to pop my theory.
Mm-hmm.
I'm theorizing that his connection with the other side is Cliff.
Yeah, that's where I was going to. You know what made me immediately think and also immediately solidify that theory is that in the trailer, when he says that, the very next shot is of Cliff.
Yeah, and they're both crying that ichor out of their right eye.
Mm-hmm.
So we only really see Troy's right eye.
Yeah, because it's covered up usually, and then his right eye, and this ties back into how I mentioned earlier that he looks very much like a weird skeletal pharaoh, and his portrait is the right eye is the eye of Horus.
Yep.
So that's very it's very interesting. I think my theory about my theory about, so it's the war torn area is like hell almost.
Yeah.
And so you
it's
have this
it's like a perpetual battlefield.
Yeah, so you have like this eternal like hell battlefield area. You have the beach, which is purgatory, and then you have the land of the living. And I think that Cliff is very much like in the land of the dead, and his connection to the BTs and to the land of the living is Higgs.
Is Higgs.
Yeah.
That would make sense to me. And I would also assume that Cliff is the one that helped Higgs understand the Death Stranding, because he claims to have understand.
Yeah.
But that could also be part of this kind of weird religious ideology that he has over it. Like once I understood the Death Stranding, it's like, all right, yeah, no, we get it, but you're a fanatic, Let's see here. You were the one who pointed this out to me, and said, and it also kind of reverts back to what I was saying about the tensors. His name is literally Higgs. Like Higgs boson.
Like that was the first thing I thought. They revealed his name is like it's the God particle.
Yeah.
Which also led, so like that's got to be intentional for that particular part. Now the rest of my theory that I think like this whole thing started with CERN, fucking the collider blew the fuck up and caused this like weird apocalyptic thing. That's my big theory for like everything. I think that maybe Cliff and Higgs worked together before the Death Stranding, and Higgs just happened to be like right there when the accident happened, potentially,
and was just exposed to massive amounts of it.
Right, and that's why he's so powerful.
That's a very valid theory, honestly. My one big question is, what is his connection to Sam? Because he's obviously very connected to Sam,
right,
in some capacity.
Right.
And my theory is that at one point he did work for Bridges in some way, because he has
all of that stuff.
And he has it's a different kind of Odradek. But it's still an Odradek nonetheless, and he also has a BB.
Yeah. This poor tortured BB that he's scaring to death to summon BTs. Have you looked into what Odradek is from?
We discussed it, but please give me a refresher.
So it is from a short story by Franz Kafka called The Cares of a Family Man. And it's basically this story that the Odradek is this like it's like foreboding like thing that is kind of looming over this narrator's like life, and this guy is essentially afraid that the Odradek will like tear down him as a patriarchal figure in society, like his status as a family man.
I mean, I can kind of see where that, it's a foreboding.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the Odradek does, is that it kind of...
It senses that stuff.
Yeah, and it alerts to, a possible downfall.
Yeah. So yeah.
Higgs, though, doesn't act as much as Sam's, because Sam's freaks out when the BT shows up, whereas Higgs is just kind of casually turns when he's dealing when he summons that catcher. It's not blinking.
Yeah.
So I wonder what the use
does it
for
sense?
his
Maybe it's meant to sense like people like Cliff that are coming from the Hell realm, like the war area.
Maybe. I want to circle back to what you were saying about like Egyptian
Yes. So
ideology, like
the
iconography.
eye. So do you know what the Eye of Horus like symbolizes?
It's like wisdom, right?
Kind of. It's like it's protection, it's good health, and it's royal power. Essentially, that's what it kind of symbolizes. Right. I did a cursory search about it earlier.
Sure.
And it is the let me bring this one up.
Sure.
So the opposite of the Eye of Horus, which is the left eye, is the Eye of Ra. And so it's kind of like, let me see here.
Ra being the god of the sun.
Yes,
correct?
So it's kind of meant to defend against disorder, and like chaos and disorder that would kind of threaten the rule of a god, essentially. So you have this good health, this representative of royal power on the right eye, which is Horus, and the Eye of Ra on the left eye, which is like this protection against chaos. And so the Eye of Ra looks like entirely different from the Eye of Horus. It's more rounded. It's kind of it's very interesting looking.
Well, and then the ichor kind of coming out of Higgs's eye kind of looks like the Eye of Ra. Like
yes.
The way it's like moving.
Yes, very much so. So it's kind of like, it's very like, especially with the way that the designs have like the design is, it seems very intentional that it's like meant to like draw on this Egyptian power.
Yeah. I mean, like if you look at the Shinkawa print, the inside of his coat is gold and black striped, which is very reminiscent of like the first thing that comes to mind is like the death mask of like Tutankhamun. It's like his I mean, he even has a death mask, and that's a thing. Like he's got a death mask, a literal skull, a golden skull as his face. And once again, to just kind of circle back, just really drum it on the head there. Higgs, God particle. We're talking about an Egyptian god. It seems to imply a lot of power.
Yeah.
There.
So like, there's maybe even more behind here than we think, because this motherfucker. So what we see is in one of the trailers. I think it was. I don't know what. I think this trailer might have been like last year's TGS. I think, but he summons like when he floats down in front of them, he summons that fucking big boy whose head is like those weird gold hand things. And that big guy fucking blows up and causes a void out. So so that's kind of like, and like all these people are kind of like floating up around in the air, and then that causes Sam to go to the beach or whatever, and that gray stuff appears on his chest and like flies away from him. Whatever, that's something entirely different. I don't think we can. I really feel like getting into right now, but because we've already said that I've already said I do not understand the mechanics of going to the beach, so we'll leave it at that. But he's like, he has the ability to summon like in like these insane powerful looking things. Like there's like I feel like we've seen like the surface of his like power, and I think that's very important.
Absolutely. Yeah. We haven't seen nearly anything from him. I mean, like he's definitely the villain that we've seen the second most from, I would say. Or quote unquote villain, because like I said before, we really don't know the full capacity of who is good and who is bad. It's pretty safe to assume that Higgs is bad.
Well, I think he's definitely a bad person at the very least. He's a fucking terrorist. He blows up cities for fun.
Yeah.
So
kidnaps people, licks them on the face, causes void outs. Yeah, he's definitely a bad guy.
Yeah.
But like I said, we haven't seen a full demonstration of what he can do. And we really haven't seen anything from the Homodemons.
Yeah.
Who I think are going to be really, really terrifying.
I think so too. So here's a little description. So they're the Greeks and the Romans believed that an evil heart could get to the Eye of Horus, and that that the eye had the power to had an energy producing power that could cast evil spells with just a glance. And then the ancients also believed that the evil eye could be counteracted with a quote good eye. So my wonder is, I think that potentially Cliff has a connection to Higgs, but I think he also has a connection to Sam. And I think that the goal is to, because I definitely do not think that Cliff is like I don't think that Cliff is a bad guy in a traditional sense. I feel like something happened and it drove him to what he's doing. But I think one of the goals is going to be to pull Cliff back from the edge, and Cliff winds up being the good eye that counteracts Higgs.
It's interesting. I've got something similar to that when we get into Cliff, but it's around. It's roughly something similar to what you were saying there. Because Cliff is one of those antagonists that is very complicated, I think. Whereas, you have Higgs being this like anarcho militant type. Higgs is a lot more mysterious, a lot more calculated. We don't see him doing absolutely batshit crazy stuff as well. I mean, we do, but it's not to the extent that he's summoning giant eldritch beings from the sky.
But like he does seem like he's not doing that, but he does seem to be able to like control the dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's.
Do you want to go ahead and just do you want to hop into Cliff?
Yeah, let's talk about Cliff.
While we're talking about him. Obviously, it's played by our boy Mads Mikkelsen.
Mads, baby, almost played by our boy Keanu Reeves. Apparently,
I was just about to say that. Yeah. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Look, much love to Keanu.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see you in Cyberpunk 2077.
Don't think he could sustain what the character of Cliff seems to be.
No. I mean,
have you seen John Wick 3?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so there are going to be some slight spoilers for John Wick 3 Parabellum if you have not seen John Wick 3. My favorite thing about this movie, aside from everything, was right at the end when he is asked, he says, "Doesn't that just make you mad?" And then the dramatic moment is he looks up at the guy and goes, "Yeah." It's so good, but it's so dumb. And it's not the gravitas I think should be brought to Cliff. Not gonna.
Well, the thing is, I can't look at Keanu. At this point, I really won't be able to look at. I wouldn't be able to look at Cliff if he was played by Keanu and think like, oh shit, there's a Theodore Logan summoning some crazy Scully boys.
And I also
Mads
think,
is the perfect guy for this.
With Mads too, is that Hideo tweeted about this as well. Is that one of like the iconic things about Cliff so far has been like he smokes.
Yeah, and that wasn't intentional.
No,
that wasn't intentional in the character.
Hideo like included that, and I guess he's done that for several of the characters as well.
So what I was going to say with Cliff is that, where we were saying that, we think that he maybe worked with Higgs and that something happened that kind of forced him to act the way that he does. Is that there's a scene, there's a scene where he's talking to BB. There's blood across half his face. And he's talking to him, let's see, one that he'll always be with you. I'll always be with you, no matter what. It's like he's a father figure almost.
I almost feel like he's the one who he developed the BBs.
I think that's fair. I mean, he definitely seems like a scientist.
Yeah.
At one point.
Yeah. Definitely used to be. Now he's a weird like dead soldier guy.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like definitely was a scientist. I think he was the creator, or at least he had a very here's my theory. I think that potentially he was the lead on developing the BBs. I think that the other person that was pretty instrumental in helping develop the BBs was clearly Dead Man.
Mm-hmm,
And
sure.
I think that Mama might have been their assistant.
That's a fair read.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because
the three of them are so closely tied
mm-hmm.
with BBs.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that he doesn't seem outwardly evil. I mean, at one point, when he's just kind of talking to the camera, it's obvious that he's talking to a BB. He's like, I'll show you the world.
Yeah, he said even the moon. Like he seems very hopeful. Like it seems like he wants to find a way so that the BB can exist like outside of the pod after they're done, quote, serving their purpose.
Yeah. I mean, it's endearing. It's like I said, it's like a father kind of talking to their child.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever happened, just kind of broken.
Yeah.
I got a theory that he's dead, or he's at least trapped on the other side.
Yeah, for sure. Because we haven't seen him aside from like those like when he's in the room talking to BB, which I believe is way more than likely like a flashback kind of.
For sure.
We have not seen him like exist outside of this like weird hellscape, war torn place.
Yeah, and I think that place is timeless.
Yeah, I think it seems like it's like the conversion of like all of the bad wars that have existed, because there's like definitely some World War I stuff in there. The rising up out of the swamp and like lighting the swamp on fire is very much like Vietnam looking.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
his soldiers change, like you said, like at one point there are skeleton soldiers with like doughboy hats, like
mm-hmm.
from World War I, or helmets. Those doughboy hats.
Yeah,
Go! You're gonna have to go fight Jerry wearing your doughboy hat. And you're gonna like it. Go serve your country.
Fuji, Dateline. We're gonna fight the doughboys using your. We're gonna fight the Pillsbury Doughboy. Here's a fight for the ages.
But at another point, they look like paratroopers from
mm-hmm.
World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And then even still going further, they look like Vietnam soldiers, like you said, and then they also look like soldiers of today, of the present.
Mm-hmm.
With the equipment that they're carrying, the firearms that they're carrying, mm-hmm. and with just the equipment that they have on.
Yeah, and like that's the thing, is like it feels like this place is just like it's a timeless place where like hell is every war converging upon each other in like this endless battle, and like everybody's recruited to fight in it,
yeah, and that would give credence to your theory that Dead Man is dead, because
mm-hmm.
he's the only person that almost interacts with him.
Yeah, and the only person that you see, like the only person other than Cliff that you see in that space.
Yes.
Like, and Sam too is there, like he plays
right
through there, which is very interesting to me. So I wonder what that's about. But like those three characters, the only three that you don't even see Higgs there. Like those are the only three that you see in the space.
He's definitely impervious to fire.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So he flicks the cigarette into the like liquid, and they all light on fire. Like his soldiers go full Ghost Rider and like have like their skulls completely engulfed in flames, and they move out. And he controls all of them using these crazy cables.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's like they're almost like leashes. They're like or like he's like fucking controlling a chariot or something like that.
Yeah, and what I wonder is, are these possibly in connection to what Sam was referring to? He's like, you covered the world full of cables, and now you think that. What do you think it's gonna do now? Like, do you think it'll make it everything better? Like, and I get, it's like, oh, okay, so we cover the world full of telephone lines and different types of cables to connect us, but this is maybe a more literal interpretation of those cables because he is literally connected to them, and when the camera pans up to Cliff in that sewer scene, you see the cables underneath the water, as the soldiers kind of sweep.
Yeah. And so this also is just like, it is part of my whole theory as well, because like, if what I think is true about what caused the Death Stranding, maybe like the thing blew up and it gave both of them powers, but like Higgs survived the whole thing and Cliff did not, and that's why he has all these powers in the world of the dead.
That's a very very good possibility.
And that also then also like, is this like, well, maybe that's why he's the good eye, you know what I mean?
Right. I've got a theory that he might be hunting down like BBs, like trying to find them to bring them, maybe bring them quote unquote home.
Yeah.
Because he obviously cares about them a lot. I mean, the first time we see him is when Deadman, connects his BB.
Yeah. Because like he connects the BB, but like he doesn't have like a Ojidek or anything connected. Like he just has a cord to plug it into. So I wonder like what the purpose of that was.
Right. He's also for sure, like, I talked to you about this off air, but these guys are for sure like the new Skulls unit.
Yeah, for sure.
They're literally Skulls.
Yeah.
Like, but they're highly trained. They're highly militarized. They're very skilled. They're tactical. It seems.
Well, so here's my thought. Like, okay, so it feels weird that like Sam is like in this weird space, right? And so if it is the land of the dead, then how did he get there? I think that because this connection between Cliff and Higgs exists, there also exists some type of break that like Sam can get pulled into from the beach, where he gets pulled into this other world where Cliff lives. And that's almost like, how like the skulls show up at like such like these like crazy inopportune times, like when you're in the beach and you're trying to do something, like maybe like randomly you'll get pulled into this like hellscape and you have to fight your way through to
fight your way out.
Yeah, you have to fight your way back to get back to the beach and back to the land of the living.
I think that's very possible. I mean, it seems like we were saying, it's not like he is inherently bad. I just think that his motives are definitely driven by BBs, in an attempt to either retake them. But I still don't understand his connection with, because I think you're right. I think the three of them have this kind of weird connection across the board with each other, which makes me think that Bridges was a larger thing. That the three of them possibly all work together at Bridges.
Well, that's my whole thing. Is like, if this was like the Hadron Collider, like maybe CERN became Bridges over time for some reason, and then that's what all this happened. Which again, this is just my like weird pet theory, and like it could very much likely is entirely wrong. But like, if we're following my train of thought, maybe that's what happened. Like they all worked for Bridges at one point together, and that's how they all know each other. And then like you have these three central characters in Sam, Cliff, and Higgs, who like Sam is like the he's the one who's representing the living, and then Higgs is representing the BTs and Cliff is representing the dead, and they're all on like these missions that are all tied together in some way.
Right. I just don't understand and of course I'm not supposed to at this point, the connection that Higgs and Cliff have as antagonists.
Gotcha. Well,
You know
I think
mean?
maybe it's just as simple as just like they have a similar goal at first, or like what both of them are doing will lead them each to a different end goal that they both want at some point, because I think,
And Sam is the common denominator of like, this is the dickhead who's stopping us.
yeah, basically. And so I think that like I said, I think the goal is to pull, like, Sam's goal is to pull Cliff back from the edge in order to stop Higgs, because Higgs is incredibly powerful. I don't think Sam is going to be able to just stop Higgs on his own. I think he needs somebody more powerful. And if the theory that I have holds, Cliff is as powerful as Higgs for similar reasons. And so Cliff is that good eye that's going to stop the bad eye that Higgs is.
Yeah. I mean, it's very apparent that Cliff isn't completely complicit with what Higgs is doing. You don't see Higgs, you don't see Cliff really interacting with BTs at all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless these soldiers are technically BTs.
Yeah. I wonder.
Yeah. Do you have anything else on either of them?
I don't think so. I think we've gotten some good theory crafting in. So I did want to ask you a dumb question. So you know how like we've got the hunters and the catchers and the gazers, right?
Yeah.
What do you think all Hefty Boy is called? Big old boy.
Ooh.
I'm going for Shrek.
My dumb answer is Dummy Thick Boy.
Dummy Thick Boy.
Or Dummy Thick Man.
Dummy Thick
my serious answer would maybe be something like Watcher. Or something like that. Or Titan.
Titan is good.
Yeah, no, I know I'm wrong on both of those.
Yeah,
except
for sure.
For
I like Watcher a lot too. I think there's a lot of like you've seen him up close, but like there's some iconography where you've seen him like off in the distance, just kind of like foreboding.
Right, exactly.
I think Watcher is a good name for him, but we'll see. We'll see when the game comes out in November.
We'll watch and see what happens.
Wow!
Look at that! Look at that! Look at that!
Rascal! God damn it. With the puns and the fucking damn.
I'm full of it, man. I'm full of it.
Sure are. Full of something, I'll tell you that much. That's basically what these last two episodes have been, right? It's just like, we're full of shit, the podcast.
yeah, pretty much. Hi. Well, listen to two 27-year-olds just bullshit about everything that they have no idea about.
For a combined total of like 4 hours.
yeah. Hey, Cole, in November or in the future, it's your past dumber self. Hope you're doing well. I know I'm wrong about most of this stuff, but thanks for keeping on.
What would you do if like everything we've talked about is like correct?
I would start my own gaming production company.
Kojima Productions presents.
Kojima Productions. Oh,
the doctor is in, baby. I'm gonna start calling you.
Oh, Doc. I'm passing out grade cards today, son. Y'all are about to get schooled.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, I'll get the red pen out.
Dang, we got that red pen. Ain't no blue pen, ain't no black pen. That's that red pen. You better be ready for a fucking F-, bitches.
You're getting it. It's gonna happen to you, son.
You're getting it. Oh, you're getting it, baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's, I guess, unless you have miraculously thought of something in the last 30 seconds, I think that's it for this episode.
I think that's a great place to stop before we dig a hole too deep for ourselves here.
Well, thank you guys for joining us on this episode. Before we talk about the website and other things like that, I will also say please get excited about next week when we mentioned up top we're talking to Ryan Kincaid, aka Nitroid, or not Nitroid, it's Ingrained Nitroid, who's he's been theorizing and talking about and loving Metal Gear for as long as anyone. So
absolutely.
It was good to have him back on the podcast. Week after, we have another special guest that we're going to be discussing some Death Stranding with, and then week after we're going to be having an Outer Op number 4, which is going to be us kind of discussing your theories and your thoughts about Death Stranding.
Please write in.
Please write in. Contact at metalgearmondays.com. We want to hear from you. We want to read them letters. We want to read them deets. We want to read everything you got to give us. So please send them in. Do not worry. We get a lot of emails apologizing for running on and being lengthy. Don't apologize for that shit. Send them in. We want it. Give it to us.
Books.
Send us a novel by Cormac McCarthy.
Yeah. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that at all. Actually,
send us The Road and we'll read it.
Don't send us The Road. I'm done. I'm never reading that book again. Ever. Actually, I'll probably read it one more time in my life. But no. Please don't send me The
Road. Yeah. So email us. Let us know. What you think. We're ready to hear from you. You can find us on the internet at metalgearmondays.com. You can also, if you would like, support us at Patreon, patreon.com/metalgearmondays. We've got tiers starting at $1 that gets you access to our Discord that go up to, various amounts. $2 will get you access to our second secret podcast called The Patriot Club, where we talk about anything but Metal Gear and Death Stranding, but also sometimes those as well. And then we also have Facebook, facebook.com/metalgearmondays. Like us there. Twitter, at Metal Gear Monday. Honestly, I think, aside from the fact that you can post silly videos, which you can do on Twitter too, I think Twitter might be my favorite social media outlet right now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I'm very funny on Twitter. And people don't.
You are very funny.
Thank you.
You are very, very funny on Twitter.
Thank you.
It's a great follow.
So you can follow us on Twitter at Metal Gear Monday. You can Instagram is Metal Gear Monday or Metal Gear Mondays. We have a store, bit.ly/MGM store, where you can buy some cool jams there.
Sweet merch.
Yeah, some sweet merch. And yeah, I think that's everything. I mean, youtube.com/Metal Gear Mondays. If you want to listen to the podcast there, you can. And yeah, I think that's it for that. Cole, where can they find you on the internet?
So you can find me on Twitter at I am Cole Duncan. And then on my personal favorite social media, Instagram, at Subterranean Homesick Brews.
I do like Instagram a lot.
Yeah, it's my go-to personally.
Lots of cuties on Instagram.
Oh yeah. Like where can they find you there, old Sam?
You can find me on Twitter at Sandul. That's SANJUUL. You can also find me on YouTube, bit.ly/. Sam does a thing. I forgot what the link was for a second. I'm looking for
Sam does a thing. He forgets his YouTube.
I mean, it is what it is. I'm looking for subscribers so I can get my 100, so I can have my custom URL. But for now, it's bit.ly/Sam Does a Thing, which is also the name of the channel. I do things on the channel, which is why it's called Sam Does a Thing. Please check it out. Like and subscribe. Smash that like button, that bell notification, and various other cliche things that people on YouTube say, and you hate them for it. So please do. With all that being said, all there's left to do is end the show. And
yeah, we gotta wrap it up.
Yeah.
We have to wrap it up.
We have to wrap it up. You know what? No, I can't do that because I want to save that for like December.
Yep. Can't do it.
Can't do
Can't
it.
do it.
Can't do it.
Um,
You know, fuck it. That's 2 months from now. They're gonna forget. Who cares? You know, I've got a friend, Cole, and
do you?
Contrary to popular belief, I do have friends. And sometimes those friends have birthdays, much like a friend of mine that's having a birthday pretty soon. And I was gonna buy them a present.
It's very kind of you.
Yeah. And I was gonna put that present inside of something. Do you have any ideas of like what I could put that present in?
Like a gift bag?
A gift. Well,
That's what I usually do.
gift bags are good. I think they're a little impersonal. What else? What else do you think?
I've always been partial to like a burlap sack.
Burlap sack, you say?
Yeah, I'm from the South. Everything around here is just burlap sacks and like mason jars. So,
okay.
You get used to it. Yeah.
Get used to it. Well, so I want to put some like nice wrapping paper on it, but it's kind of an awkward shape. And I think that if I put it inside of something that is less awkward, I will be able to wrap it easier.
Okay.
So, because I don't think I'll be able to wrap up like a gift bag or a burlap sack pretty easy. So I just need something like solid, maybe cubular, you know?
Cubular.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It's a stumper, right? Like it's a hard one.
It's a real stumper. I mean, you could put it in a stump. I mean, I've seen people do that. Just core it out, throw it in there. They definitely won't know. They won't.
Sure, it'll be a very big surprise.
Big surprise. Oh
yeah. Oh, you got it.
I think so.
What is it? Is it simple? Because like I don't want anything to put in anything complicated.
I can't believe I didn't think of this. You could just put it in a box.
Oh yeah, and then it's just a box.
That's just a box.
Wow. Cool, dude.
we're getting really good at this, aren't we?
Yeah, we're experts. All right, bye.
Just a box.